Welcome to What's Your Skroove, where we tell stories, share experiences, and get inside the minds of artists, athletes, creators, and musicians. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 44 of What's Your Skroove with TYP, a man of many talents. And I think you're the only artist that I know that really, and I don't want to misbrand you, but this is how I interpret your stuff. You bring whatever you're using for like your art inspiration, kind of marry it with your canvas a little bit. Is that a good description for a lot of your pieces?
Yeah, that's a good description.
And you've been in Detroit like your whole life, correct?
Most of it, yeah.
And then you had a studio in Birmingham.
Yep.
And now he's about to make the big move out to LA, right?
Yeah.
So he's making power moves, and we're really excited to have him on. So thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Thank you. So let's just kind of dive into it. Like, a lot of your pieces are based around sports, right? Why sports?
Well, I love sports growing up. I still love sports.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of that comes from, I think, just what people see, right? Mm-hmm. So I did, so that style that you're describing, I call alternative canvases.
Okay.
So it's basically just blending the three-dimensional objects with the painting in order to like tell that story. So they usually correlate with each other. I did this piece of Jordan on Jordan 1 tennis shoes.
Dude, that was incredible.
Thank you. So I just did that piece, and it ended up selling like while I was making it. Mm-hmm. And so, you post that, and then I started getting a lot of commissions where people see the Jordan and they're like, oh, can you do like Kobe? So they always think about another athlete or another sport. So it's kind of like what you show people is what you're going to get. Mm-hmm. That's kind of what I've noticed. So it's not like I only choose to do like sports figures. I just, I'm making a living at art. So I'm like, those are the commissions that are
there's a
been
demand
coming
for
to me.
that.
Yeah, there's a demand for it. So I've
it.
been making it. I do enjoy it
So
a lot.
it's a win-win, because sometimes
It's a
people,
win-win.
we've found you have artists who are making something and then
Yeah.
it sells and it's not their most passionate piece, and they kind of get down this road of, well, it pays the bill. So that's cool that it's still something you're passionate about.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm passionate about. I just didn't want to get like cornered into just only being known for that or doing that. I guess you can't really control what you're known for, but only being able to do that, So I try to use I try to take some time every year to like put out something different. Mm-hmm. So it's not like all like that's kind of what Exposed was to me, was something that's more personal to me.
Yeah.
Something that has nothing to do with sports or music or celebrities. Because that seemed to be like what all my commissions were for that year prior. So I definitely enjoy it, and I'm going to continue making stuff in that style too. Like the Jordan style, anything like that. Because you get great jobs and exposure out of that stuff too.
I imagine. The Kobe piece was incredible.
I'm a huge Tom Brady Patriots fan.
Oh, yeah?
And I was just before you got here, I was watching the video, I think
Chester made that one,
of, all the haters, calling out Tom Brady for why he wasn't drafted. And I think you called it like your Mr. 199 piece or something that.
Yeah, Mr. 199.
And dude, that's a sweet piece. And you wrote all of his kind of like his critics.
I wrote all his negative draft notes on the balls and crossed them off.
That's tight.
Now, on that Ali piece that you did, were those boxing gloves?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't tell 100% from the image. That's how good the work is. Like, from afar, it's this complete picture, but like it's this fine. So those were gloves?
So you guys go check it out in person. It's like totally different
Where's
in person.
that at?
Because that's like one of the ones that is large scale. So it's like 12 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
By 10 feet wide. It's at this gym called Get Some Fitness.
Really?
They actually have four of my pieces that are pretty large scale. Yeah, that place is sweet.
Okay.
Shout out Jeff Johnson.
There you go.
Get Some
Is that in Detroit area?
It's in between 13 and 14 off Greenfield.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's Southfield technically, or Beverly Hills.
Okay. So this like alternative canvas stuff, is that your brand? Is that like what you want to be kind of known for, whether it's sports or anything? Or do you, where does your real passion lie?
Yeah, I think for me, I've always wanted something that I could do anything, like any subject, any story, any whatever, make any piece, and people could tell it was me. So I want I think as an artist, you always strive for something that stands out off of like when you put it in a crowd, people can pick it out and know that that's you that created it. So for me, that alternative canvas style, once I started to kind of develop it and realize like I could do it with really anything, it's just trying to find stylistically like how to continue getting better at that. But it's something that I feel like I'm passionate about because it stands out more to me than some of the other work that I've done. So I'm always trying to think about how to continually evolve that idea while still blending those three-dimensional objects with painting. And I have some really cool ideas moving forward about how to make it just a more functional idea and more cost-effective for me and the consumer. So
now, because I've never seen anything like it before.
No.
Like when I first saw like your Instagram page, I was like, dude, these pieces are very cool. Like, did you draw that inspiration from somebody? Is there?
There was one artist that I really loved his work, and he used floppy disks as his canvas.
No shortage of those laying around.
Yeah, so it was very cool, like to be able to, like bring something back that was basically obsolete, and repurpose it into something that, and they were always like used, like they had weird like writing on them, and I don't know what they all were, but they were definitely like used for something, and
That's so
they
cool.
weren't just like blank, fresh floppy disks.
That
They
nobody
all
can
had
sell.
like their own little character to them, and he would paint these subjects on them. But he always only used floppy disks. I know he's done other stuff too, but like not
Like CDs.
not in that. No, like
tapes,
records. He's done like other style paintings, but I think that's like the one that I've seen where he paints on an object.
Okay.
And so that led me to think of I just wanted to try to think of something that was like kind of vintage and retro like that, that nobody uses anymore, but is still kind of a cool looking object. And then I started doing stuff on cassette tapes.
Oh, did you?
So I started like painting. The first one I did was Biggie on cassette tape.
Okay, yeah. I think I've seen that.
Yeah, and there's kind of a funny story behind that. Same kid with the Troy pencil story.
Yeah,
my
yeah.
friend Mark.
Yeah.
He has this funny story of when he was a kid. He was listening to Biggie on cassette tape when he was like in second grade. And like,
Really?
yeah, everyone
Wonderful.
was, yeah. So I got really excited when I was like, oh, I get to do Biggie on cassette. And he lost it when I showed him that piece. So once I did that, I started thinking of other things. Like I opened a shoebox and got a new pair of shoes. And I was like, oh, I could actually use these, and that was what sparked the Jordan piece. And then once I did the Jordan piece, and it was like a challenge for me to actually like paint on those shoes. But once I figured out I could do it and it came out pretty good, I was just like, I think I could do it on anything, And so now it's just been this like, constantly trying to evolve and continue trying to use other mediums and make the pieces more captivating,
Are there other people like doing this I'm sure other people are doing this, but are really like you're consistently doing it with like that that's kind of your style. Do you know of anybody else or that is like hammering this over and over kind of like you are?
No, that's kind of why. I mean, that's not to say there isn't.
Right,
I just
but
don't
yeah,
know
I'm just
of any.
within your
But that's kind of why I've been doing it, And I was like, I felt like it was something that to me it was my own, To me it was unique, and so I was like, you know what? I'd rather just continue doing something that I feel like is separating myself, at least in my own head, from other people, and it really drives me creatively, and it's always keeping me like. Every piece we do, it seems like we're having to learn something new, Like it's never like a comfortable thing for us, just like
Constantly progressing.
Yeah, so it's always like it's a little bit frustrating sometimes because it's like we don't even have anybody to ask. Like,
You don't
how
go to
do
Mike-
this
you
stuff,
don't go to
You
Michael's
into
and buy
Home
another
Depot
canvas.
they're like,
Yeah,
"What are you
yeah,
doing
yeah,
with this?"
yeah.
And then you go
So
into
I'm
like an
trying to
art
cut a
store and they're
shoe in
like,
half.
"Wait, I don't know if this paint will stick on that, or I
Right.
don't even know the fixative you would use to like seal it." So it's a lot of this trial and error stuff, and it's interesting doing it as a job on the fly. Like a lot of tests, and you gotta take a little more time to make sure these things aren't gonna like fall apart on people. But it's fun. I mean,
part of the
that's
experience,
like
right?
kind of why I really gravitated towards it, and it's because I've never really seen it.
Right.
I see people make things out of objects
Right.
all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, but I've definitely seen those. I haven't seen a lot of painting on top of objects.
Right.
Just in the way that I'm doing it. So I did have a guy come up to me though at Art Prize this past week, and he was like, "This is exactly like what I've been doing."
Really?
And I was like, "No way."
Really?
Yeah, I was like, "Keep
That's
it up."
cool.
Yeah. So he was like, "Yeah, I've been painting on objects and like making them correlate with each other." I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
tight.
that was like the first person that I'd ever
is
come
cool.
in contact with. So that was cool. He didn't show me anything, but
Really?
So I want to kind of take a step back. Were you always, you said like in school you had like a nickname and like you always had colored pencils? You were always drawing in school or what? Like were you always artistically like interested in
Yeah, I mean,
creating
sadly
stuff?
that nickname was when I was like 22.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
okay.
wasn't-
Even
it
better.
was like it wasn't in school.
Even
No, no.
better. Walking around with a trapper keeper. yeah. Trapper keeper. I haven't said or heard that word in about 10 years.
Yeah, no, that was the later nickname. Yeah, so in school,
But like growing up, were you artistic?
yeah, growing up, I loved to draw. Like I would always draw Dragon Ball Z characters.
Really?
That was like my thing growing up. Yeah, and I had certain people that always tried to push my parents into like getting me more into art, and like making me take more art classes, and because I was never like wasn't like the oh my gosh this kid's like the next Picasso or
Right.
whatever. But I think I always was a little bit better than kids my age, you know, or showed a little bit of like promise in that area. But I was way more into sports. I think I got picked on about it. So like I only really drew at home. Like I
Really?
doodled on my work. I used to get in trouble for that all the time. But
Like on your homework, you're saying?
yeah, like I wouldn't, you know, a teacher's like talking about something, I would just sit there and draw. Like I couldn't, they wouldn't let me turn in a test.
Super Saiyan Goku.
If I had any drawings on it, because I
Really?
used to just cover the whole sides.
It was that much of a...
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I used to get in trouble for drawing on stuff.
How interesting is that? Just I don't want to interrupt, but just the concept in itself. You know, there's so much debate nowadays about the structure of the school system and standardized testing and
Yeah.
things of that nature. And here you're a full-time artist
Yeah.
who's doing what a lot of people wish they could do or dream they could do, and you're about to move out to LA, and the people who are supposed to encourage, you know, your development are saying you can't turn in this standardized test
Yeah.
if you draw on it. I'm
It
like,
is, it is kind of ironic, but
I just that just I don't know. I just think
yeah.
that's kind of
I
strange.
think it's come a long way since when we were in elementary school, and
I would
definitely
agree.
a much longer way from like, you know, looking back when our parents were in school.
Yeah,
It's a totally different system, and
it's just interesting.
it is interesting.
Just a
It is
thought.
really
Just
funny.
take
I
that
thought
home with
about
you
that
guys.
too. I'm like, I used to get in trouble all the time for not taking school serious and drawing.
It's so strange.
But really, I fizzled out on art. Like, I'm sure I did it like every once in a while, but I don't remember many times doing it from like age of 14 to 21.
Oh, really?
And that was like, it's synonymous with the time that I really started getting into like drinking and smoking,
Yep.
and then I ended up getting sober at 21. So I picked it back up because I was like, oh, I
have all this
I don't
time.
have any hobbies. Like I don't even know what I like to do. And I was like, I used to draw as a kid. Like maybe I should just see if I can still draw. And I drew. This guy's name was Big John. He was a counselor at this rehab I was at, and hey, he was a big boy. He was massive.
Shout out Big John.
He had like this big beard, and same thing. Like he was like I think we were in class, like working on, because they did like some schoolwork there too, if you
Yeah.
wanted to do some college credits, and so. He was talking about something, and I was just sitting there like drawing him, and then like all these kids started like one kid would see that I was doing something. By the end, like every kid was watching me draw,
Really?
and he's like, "What is going on?" And so he like rolled over in his chair.
Didn't even stand up.
Yeah, didn't even stand up. He like rolled over in his chair, and he was like, "Let me see what you're doing." And so I turned it around. He was like, well, God damn it, that's good.
That's hilarious.
And he, yeah, so that was my first. I was like, oh, people like it, and it came out pretty good. Like, and I left it at the place, so I have no idea if they still have it or what. But yeah, so once that happened, then I found out that like I could lose track of time when I started drawing.
Sure.
So honestly, it was a tool to keep me out of trouble when I first was getting sober, and to like turn my brain off, you know? So like I'd come home weekday, weekend, whatever, just so I didn't think about like going out and drinking or using. I would just start drawing, and by the time I knew it, it was like 3 a.m, and I was like, oh, I gotta go to bed. I gotta work in the morning, you know? So that was kind of what I used. It was definitely a more like selfish approach to what I was doing, but it was kind of what I needed, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that.
So
was,
what were you drawing at
was
that
what
time?
sparked
Just
it.
anything and everything?
People. At that time, I was really interested in portraits. I've always been interested in portraits and people more than. I mean, I guess when I was a kid, it was more cartoon style stuff. But then I started, even as a kid, I started drawing like sports figures, which is, you know. So I've always been into like that's why
Sports,
I
yeah.
love what I do. It's just I just have other ideas other than that too. So you want to make it kind of well-rounded and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I used to draw sports figures, and then my family was always traveling, it seemed like. So I would do this thing. I think about it now, it's pretty creepy. But I would do this thing. I was like 8 or 9 or 10 or something.
So you can get away with anything
Yeah.
at that point, yeah.
But I would, like, we'd be sitting on the plane, and I would draw the person in the row across from us, and then give it to them at the end of the flight.
Oh, really? That's
And
kinda
they would
cool.
always be like, "Oh, this is so cute," you know. So it was like, I think I got away with it because I was young. But I thought about it now. I'm like, what if I just
on
like
your flight to LA?
I'm just gonna say,
No,
I
dude,
challenge you.
I can't do
Yeah,
it.
man,
Grow
that'd
out
be
your beard
hilarious.
and
She'd
kinda
have to
look
be like a sweet old lady for me to do
No, I want
it.
it to be like some broad. Like,
Yeah, just my age.
up there all
Yeah,
slow.
oh, yeah.
Up there all slow. I made this for you.
Love TYP.
yeah, love.
Dude.
With love.
All right, I'll do it.
I challenge you.
Oh wait, I'm not flying. I'm driving.
Man.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
gonna be
buy you
harder.
a ticket.
All right,
Just-
that could
Just
be
so
the
we can
deal.
have this painting or this drawing.
I'll do it on the next flight
Next
I go
flight.
on.
All right.
I have a flight to Cambodia. That's
Oh,
a
really?
long flight. Yeah,
What are
I
you
could
going
do
to
a couple
Cambodia
drawings
for?
on that one. We are going to start this art and music therapy program at this program that
Oh, wow.
I visited like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So the guy that manages me runs a foundation. It's
Mm.
like, and so my management fee goes to that foundation. He takes a salary from the foundation, so he doesn't get the money. It's
Interesting.
going to charity. So a portion of every piece that I do goes to this foundation. It's called Premier Foundation. It's based out of South Carolina, and the program that they work with out there is called Agape International Missions. And it's a really, really sad situation over there. They're rescuing these girls out of child sex trafficking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like I went 2 years ago, and like right after I got home, I did a piece that we sent all the proceeds back from that. So we raised like $12,000 from
Oh,
that
nice.
piece. Yeah.
Very
so,
cool.
But we had an idea when we went out there. We were like, they don't have any tools like I said, like for me, a totally different scenario, but I was able to really get through what I was getting through just being able to do art. It had no purpose to me. Like what I thought was no purpose. I thought I was just enjoying it, and it was getting me through what it was getting me through. But I look back and it was really therapeutic for me. And I think their situation is a lot more grave than they've been through a lot more trauma than I think I had been through. Well, I know than what I had been through. And so we just thought it'd be an incredible thing to be able to at least give them the tools to try these things and do these things. And you never really know who's going to be gifted at this thing unless they try it. So we wanted to try to start this art and music therapy program there. And now, fast forward 2 years later, we're opening it.
Oh, that's
Starting it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude,
That's
congrats.
pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
congratulations! Like 2 years. That's an impressive timeline. I don't
Yeah.
think people realize how long stuff really takes to get going. Let alone something like that. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
So you guys made some moves.
Yeah, it's
good
been
for you
great.
guys.
Yeah.
Is there any if people wanted to like support or find that foundation or anything like
Yeah,
that?
so on my website,
Okay.
there's a management tab.
Okay.
If that's easier. If not, Premier Foundation is the name of the foundation.
And plug your website too, so they can find it that way.
TYPcollection.com.
There you go.
So yeah, it's called Premier Foundation, based out of South Carolina, and then the actual group in Cambodia is called Agape International Missions.
Okay.
So
Check it out.
AIM.
Right on,
Which
dude.
is
When are you heading out there?
October 14th. So my flight is out of
dude.
LA. So that's my
Oh,
my
nice.
due date to get to LA.
That's
is-
your inaugural. Like you have
yeah,
to be there
have
by
to
then
be
because
there,
the
yeah.
ticket.
Yeah,
Like
the ticket's there. So
dude, so you're gonna be well. Good for you for that, because we don't need to brush over that. That's a huge accomplishment, and obviously, I mean,
yeah,
we
I'm
need more of
excited
that
to
in the
go
world.
back for sure.
So be sure to check that out, guys. But this LA thing, because obviously, kind of born and raised in Detroit,
Yeah.
and there's a ton of culture, and this is kind of where you made your foundation,
Yeah.
like your literal foundation.
Yeah.
Explain the move, what that process looks like, why you're going out there, what's the ambitions, maybe some stuff like that.
Yeah, so over the past, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 months, I probably around a year actually. The past year, I've known I wasn't going to renew that lease on my space. I got that space as like a 2-year commitment. You know, I knew from the moment I got it that I wasn't going to renew it unless I felt different by the time that 2 years got there. But I use it as exposure. So I was like, it's more of a financial investment for me. Wasn't really able to save as much as I would have at like a cheaper private studio and not like a really expensive high foot traffic area. You know,
dude, it was it's a
but
sick,
it was like I was struggling at the time with like balancing work and like going out and marketing. I would like be in my house for like 3 days straight working on stuff, and I'm like, well, nobody sees this stuff except for like social media, and you know. So I wanted somewhere where I didn't have to try to pitch a show to a gallery. I didn't have to, because I was doing a lot of commissions, you know. So it's different. So I was like, well, I should just get something where people can just see me while I work, you know, and it's just right out in the open. And so that was what I tried to do with that space. And so I knew I wasn't going to renew it. So I was just praying about what I should be doing after and trying to really like not rush into anything and feel out all the different options. I was looking in Ferndale for like just a bigger studio, but private for less money. I was looking downtown, even stuff with Chester, you know, doing maybe like a split thing, like an event and studio space. So we could do the event space. Yeah, we still. That's still a goal of ours for
That'd
sure.
be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. So that would be like down more Detroit area. But the more I had, LA was not on my mind at all. But I kept getting these job offers, and they were pretty big brands, or I don't want to say who they were, but they were bigger than what I was doing. More up the alley of what I was trying to do. Sometimes here I feel like I've had to, in order to kind of like make money, sometimes you get stretched a little bit in a direction where you're like, that's not the most, it's not exactly what I was hoping for, but like it's not, like I just won't post it or something. You know, it's not, it's not falling
Not
under
really on
like
brand.
Yeah, it's not really like on brand exactly, but you know, you have financial pressure from
money,
yeah,
right?
so so it seemed like it was more on brand, like the jobs the offers I was getting, and they all kept fizzling when they found out I was here, you know, but they were finding me. You know,
Really
like through social media or through something, they were finding me while I was here. And so that sort of took the fear away a little bit of like, oh, I'll just go out there and get lost. You know, I'll just get no jobs because there's so many talented, amazing artists out there. And there's a ton here too. It's just a bigger market, you know, there's more of everything there. So, yeah, it just kept happening. Like every couple of weeks, another one of those jobs would come and they would fizzle. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I sat down. I started thinking about it a little bit. I was like, that's weird. And then AJ, at the time, who worked for me, he was dating somebody in California. So that like started creeping in my head. I was like, well, he'd be a lot happier there. And like maybe I would be okay with getting jobs. You know, I always told myself when I got sober, I'm not going to move unless I have a real reason to move. Because I used to always just bounce around, you know, like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Let's just go do that. So I really made it like, that was like a little pact I made with myself to not move. So it took a while for me to get to the place to be like open to moving. And then once I really like ended up talking to AJ, talking to my parents, talking to just my family about it. Initially everyone was like, didn't like it. But then I explained to them all my reasons and kind of what I was thinking. And everyone was like, I mean, that's what you feel. Like you're going to regret it if you don't do it. You know, like, so I didn't want to look back and be like, I should have done it when I had the chance, or I don't know what's going to happen in 2 or 3 years. You know, I might not be in a space to where I'm flexible to move anymore, you know? So I just feel like if I was going to do it now, that studio lease gave me like the window of when to do it, you know? So it's up in 6 days, and I was just like, all right, well, I think this is the time where we're going to do it.
That's cool.
That's exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. It's all happening super fast right now, but it's just got to get through this week of packing. I hate moving too. Like it's the worst. Yeah. Packing everything up.
And moving like across country too is like,
yeah,
I'm sure it's a lot different.
I'm not the best at planning things. Like when it comes to anything like moving, personal related,
just do it. You know?
It's just like, I'll just figure it out. And then it comes and I'm like, I got like 3 days to figure this out. But
that was my philosophy with like homework always. Like, I'll just end up waiting the last minute. And it's like, all right, let's go.
No, we figured it out now, but like, you know, we're about a week and a half away.
So like from 21 and you started like, you know, picking up drawing again and doing portraits of people.
Yeah.
Until you got this space. What was that time frame like? You were working still, you were just doing it as a hobby?
Yeah.
Did you start selling pieces?
Yeah.
When did you start taking it seriously?
So from 21, I'm 27 now. Probably probably the amount of time I've taken it seriously in that is 4 years, 3.5, 4 years.
Okay.
The other, whatever, 2.5 or 3, it was kind of a build up to just being able to do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
And even that first year I was doing it full time, my mentality was always just like, oh, I'll just do this till I need to get a real job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's ride this out as long as I can. Like, this is cool. I just get to do commission portraits for people. This is awesome.
So that's what you were making
Yeah,
money at? was
yeah.
commission
Really, it was
portraits?
just I was drawing. I didn't even know how to paint at the time.
Really?
Yeah, I only drew. So I used graphite and charcoal. And I just loved drawing portraits, and I was good at drawing like detailed portraits. So I was just like, my first website was portraitsbytroy.com.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
By Troy
Real
Bassist.
original.
Yeah, super original.
What were you doing before you did the full time?
So yeah, 21. I was working for this company. It was a movie financing company. So I was reading movie scripts.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it was a fun job. And then that was when I started just doing it, like just drawing, and didn't really show anybody. Didn't have an Instagram. And then a couple of people saw it, and they were like, I think Chester was one of those people who's like, you should make an Instagram. And yeah, so people convinced me to make an Instagram. So then I started posting stuff, and people that I'd known for a long time were like, when did you learn how to draw?
Really?
You know, I like never showed anybody. And I was like, I've drawn my whole life. I just got back into it. And so then people started just asking me to do stuff for them. And first couple I did for free. And then my mom was like, you can't just do them for free. You got to charge something. Right. And so, yeah, I remember I did a lot of pieces for like $100 to like $500, somewhere in there. And then that was still, I had the other job. I was just doing it after work. And so the money thing wasn't really that important to me, you know. And then I started getting more and more jobs, and I started turning down jobs because like I don't have any time to do these anymore. And I started showing up late for work because I'd be up to like 3, 4 in the morning drawing, you know.
Really?
And my boss was like, "Why? Like you've never been late? Like what's going on?" And so I told him about what I was doing, and then he asked to see some stuff, and I showed him, and he was like, "Why have you thought to maybe just do this instead of what you're doing?" So he kind of
cool boss.
Yeah.
Very supportive.
Yep. And so he kind of, along with my family too, they kind of like pushed me into just trying it, you know. Worst case is you go back and do what you're doing. Yeah. So I tried it, and the first year, I was getting by for sure, but it was definitely like I'd do a job that would pay for the week or two, and then like I'd go right into the other. You know, it was definitely job by job. Like I had like very little money, you know, but I was loving it. You know, it was awesome. I just felt like I was like cheating the system or something. I was like,
getting paid
I'm
to do what
not
you love.
working.
You're getting paid to draw.
Yeah,
how
I
cool
was
is
like,
that?
I don't have a job. This is awesome. Yeah. And then, you know, enough of that though, and then you start to be like, well, how can I like, you know, eventually I'm gonna have to make more money. Like I can't make what I'm making. Like what happens if I get married or have, you know, like it's just I'm gonna have to go back and get a real job, or I could try to figure out how to make this a more like profitable business, you know, and start to take it more serious. And that was around the time I started feeling like sort of stagnant too. Like I wanted to do more creatively than just draw people. Just be able to add something stylistically or anything. I was just trying to like get more into like telling a story and less of just trying to copy a photo,
right?
You know. And so that kind of all happened around the same time. And I did like I changed the name, you know, I really started focusing more on like, well, how do I want to brand this? Like what would I be comfortable like promoting? And yeah, so then that started to happen. I started paying more attention to the business side of things and budgeting and marketing and everything besides creating the art, you know, too. And
really turn it into like a business.
Yeah, I was just trying to then I started to really focus on it and started to try to get creative with the ways I was going to try to do this, you know. And around that time is when I started to make things that I feel like are more creative too. And yeah, so since that time it's been more of like a legitimate business, and I feel like since that time there's been a lot of growth too, you know. So
were you doing the alternative canvas once you got into the studio in Birmingham, or were you doing it before you got the studio?
Yeah, I did it. I did the first piece like a month before I got it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did that Biggie on cassette like right around the time I got it. The Jordan one I did in that studio. So like it was kind of like right when I got that space was really when I started like developing that.
Right. Gotcha.
Like the first stuff I had hung up was all drawings. And then the next the next thing we did there was a show, and it was that was like the last series I did with all drawings. But while I was doing that, I was working on alternative canvas commissions. So like that was kind of the beginning of that whole wave of doing the alternative canvas was when I got that space.
Was that like transition natural for you? Like from
Sorta, yeah. I mean, it just
because a lot of it's like, is it spray paint and then you're just painting too with the?
It's a lot of it's brush, so
Brush,
it's
is
just
that what
acrylic
it
with
is?
a brush. Yeah, I like base coat things in spray paint.
Okay.
And, like block in big sections of color with it, but I don't really like do any like detail stuff with spray paint.
Okay.
Really. I'm not as comfortable with spray paint as I am with drawing or painting with a brush. You know, so yeah, the first alternative canvas was half drawing, half painting. So that was kind of like a nice little transition into painting. That was the first time I ever painted.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then the next cassette piece I did was this Michael Jackson on cassette, and that was my
really?
first painting. Yeah,
Nice,
That's
dude.
dope.
yeah. So that was cool, and then yeah. So really, I've been painting for like 2 years.
Okay.
That's crazy. I want to back up real quick because this is something I think could help a lot of young artists that are getting started, and we kind of brushed on it. Pun. Well, you said like pricing your pieces. That's gotta be
Yeah.
one of the hardest things in the world to do.
Yeah, so like that jump was very gradual for me.
Okay.
You know, I just started for a while. I didn't believe that people would pay what I felt like my time was worth. You know, so that was kind of how we did it. That's kind of how I did it. Was I looked at what I spent to make the piece. I looked at my time put into it, and then I put a price on my time plus the materials.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, like what that kind of
Yeah.
equation looked like in your
Yeah.
head, and because I think that could provide value to people who are just getting started. And
Yeah, I think
as your
that
time
helped,
becomes
'cause
more
then
valuable,
you can just change your time value.
Yeah.
As you become more busy or more coveted, then that's the model that I take.
very practical.
Yeah, and the alternative canvas pieces cost a lot more.
Yeah.
So they kind of like
Chopping Jordans in half.
Yeah, the Jordan, the materials probably weren't cheap for that one.
yeah. So I don't really have like set prices where someone's like, if I want something this size, how much will it cost?
Right.
It's always like a range. You know, I'm
Really?
like, well, it really depends on what you want and what we're using, and you know, so it kind of makes it a little harder to price things with the
Yeah.
alternative canvas stuff. But for the most part, I kind of know. I don't even keep track of hours anymore because I just know
Yeah.
how long something's going to take, roughly.
Right.
I track the days now because I know how long I work a day.
You're working in days, not
yeah,
hours.
yeah, because it's like I know I'm going to work 8 to 12 hours in a
Right.
day. I know if I work more than 12 hours because I'm very tired
Yeah.
after. You know, so it's just like it's easier for me to just be like, yeah, it's going to take me 6 days or 7 days, or you know, it's going to take me 2 weeks of like a hard 2 weeks. You know, so it just depends on. Like that's kind of how I do it. I kind of have a day price now
Okay.
in my head, and then add the material cost.
What kind of people like wanted self-portraits that you were doing?
It's usually like people's kids,
Oh,
or
really?
like maybe something from like their wedding day.
Really?
Or,
So do they hand
Yeah,
you,
it's
like, a
usually like a
picture?
special
Yeah.
moment, that I would like recreate a photo and.
Are you just doing it off of a picture they give you?
Usually, yeah. Sometimes I would
They're not
like
just sitting
I
there
would
for like
like
5
take-
hours.
No, no.
George Washington getting
No,
on.
there was a couple times we did like the live ones,
Yeah.
but it's uncomfortable for me. I don't like doing that as much, and so I would like rush in that.
Yes.
Whereas like
Get outta here.
I'll either like print a super zoomed in version or like zoom right in on my computer and like feel comfortable staring at like this section of somebody.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna
Don't blink. Yeah.
They're still
So,
in
like,
their teeth.
is
Do
that
I
a zit?
include that?
Yeah.
yeah.
So the style of stuff that I was doing was more like I was trying to pay more attention to detail. So it just made it a lot easier. I was spending like in the beginning probably like 15, 20 hours on a piece, and then it got to like the 50 to 90 range, 50 to
wow.
100 hour range. So I'm like, you're not sitting there.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
photo just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I was wondering how you did that because you were saying you worked till like 3 in the morning. I'm like, are these people just sitting here?
No,
or like
no,
you're
no.
recreating, or did you just like picture like, oh, yeah,
Sometimes
that's what
we
it
would
looked
they'd
like?
give me a photo and I would change a lot of stuff in it.
Oh, would you?
But you at least get how they look, and you can kind of
Manipulate
shift the
that,
light
yeah.
source, or shift what they're wearing, or shift what's in the background, or make them smile. Like
right.
you change stuff. But
So like when you got the piece and then you started doing the alternative canvas, you didn't have a job right then, and you were making a living off of your art when you got the space in Birmingham.
Yeah,
but that was like a big commitment though, because you were locked into like a 2-year lease.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it wasn't cheap. So you're like,
so full time, I'd been doing it for 2 years at that point, roughly. And the first year, like I said, was like not making a lot of money, but getting by. And then once I started to take it more serious, I saw a lot of growth, like from a artistic standpoint, I thought, and just from a business standpoint. So I was able to save a lot more money. I kind of had like, I was making more than I needed, you know, and just saving a lot. And so I was just like, well, I would invest it. Like, you know, everybody I talk to, like that's kind of, if you're going to grow a business, you got to take some calculated risks and kind of invest it back in the business. So that was kind of like what I felt like I was missing was I worked out of my house. So I was like, I really would love a studio, you know, to like spread this out and like not have my house be like just an art mess all the time, you know? And also I was struggling with the marketing thing of getting out and like going out to meet people and showing people my work and having my work be in public. So it just, that specific space wasn't the thing that sparked it. I just started looking for a space that had foot traffic that people could see me while I work.
That's really smart, I think, and I think that that's good advice for people, because some people might see a space and like well, it's out of my budget, but you understood it
was out of my budget.
Well, there's only one TYP, right?
Yeah.
And you can't be like, well, I have this much work that needs to be done on art, and I need to be doing my marketing, and you know, there's not two of you, and that, and you're probably smaller at this point, and you know, don't have the ability to scale and have people do that for you. So your happy medium was, would you pay more for the space and the rent, but it frees up, one, you don't have to worry about the marketing, the time of that taking up in your, you know, your mind, getting these shows and all these different things, and two, the expenses of that. So it's like, I think that's a really creative approach to like mitigate that issue. You're like, well, I can kill like 3 birds with one stone here, and you get the space.
Yeah,
so
my goal was I just couldn't go backwards.
Yeah,
you know, that was like, I was like, also, you know, I kind of had to cut down whatever. I wasn't really spending, I guess, clothes and shoes. You know, I was like, I can't really buy as much of that. But, yeah, it was just like, I just can't go backwards. That's really it. Like, it was like a month-to-month thing for me, you know, just making sure that. So it was pressure on getting jobs every month, you know, and I only had like a couple months out of the 2 years to where they were slower, and I like felt it, you know, and it was like a little scarier. I was like, oh man, we need to figure something out, get going on the right track again. And we did, but it was like, I was really blessed, to be honest. It wasn't a lot of financial pressure getting that space. And going into it, I was very nervous, you know. I was like, what if this just works for 3 months and then I'm screwed? Yeah. You know what I mean?
What was your thought process on that? Were you like,
I just felt like,
I'm going to stop doing this, or I'll just figure something else out, or what?
No, I mean, my thought process on getting that space.
Well, like if it doesn't work out in 3 months, it's like, then I won't do it anymore, and I'll go back to reading movie scripts.
I don't know. No, I didn't think too much about it, like what happens if, because I was trying to just keep my mind focused on like this is gonna work. You know, I felt like, I just felt like if I worked as hard as I could and tried my best to be the best I could, like God had my back, and this was gonna work. You know, because I felt like the way it all unfolded to get the space, I just felt like it was God telling me like take a risk. Right. You know, and so, I didn't really think about failing that much. You know.
I think that theme has been very reoccurring.
It's been the most reoccurring theme of every guest.
Through the guests that we've had, and even in our experience, you kind of take this leap of faith. You know, you have a calculated risk, but in your gut, and you just know.
Well, it really makes no sense on paper. It's not like you're signing a lease that's going to be this month, and you know that you have that much money coming in. That's almost a guaranteed theme with almost every guest.
It's like
that's
you
not
do
a
what you know deep down is like, for whatever
it happens
reason
a lot
feel.
with me too, and that there's like little. Like I feel like right now is a pocket move. Yeah. You know, there's some people might think like it's not like doesn't make a lot of sense. Like you've been doing really well here. Like you have all this stuff here, and that's just what I feel. You know, and it was the same way when I got that space. It was the same way when I decided to hire somebody and spend the extra money to really get the extra help. I can't even say what I would be. I don't know if I'd be doing half the stuff I'm doing if AJ wasn't working for me. Really? You know. We've been able to accomplish a lot more I've been able to tackle jobs I probably wouldn't have been able to. He had a construction background, worked with power tools way more than me. So like, it just kind of took away any of the, oh, we can't do that. You know, like we'll figure out how to do that,
Right.
you know? And I don't know if that would have been my mentality with some of like the build outs and really big pieces, you know, I probably would have been like, I don't think I can do that.
Right,
You know? And I'm usually pretty good about that, but I have no idea. I could have maybe not done the Ali piece or, you know, so I think they've always really paid off for me. There's definitely mistakes that I've made, but like the calculated risk thing, right? Yeah, I don't just like throw it all. Like the studio thing was the most risk I think I've ever taken in something. But I had proven for like a year that it was growing and I just couldn't go backwards.
Right.
So it was still more of a calculated risk, you know? Like it wasn't like I couldn't afford it. It was just like you can barely afford it.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Like you can't go backwards. And it grew a lot from
Well,
just getting that studio.
That
you know?
I think the other part of it too is like there's no other option, and it's very motivating whether it's on the surface or not. Like like there's just no question. Like,
yeah, like I have to show up every
Right,
day,
exactly.
You know? So like where in my house I'm pretty motivated, but like it definitely kicked it into another gear, getting a space where everyone's like, not everyone's watching, but like people can see what you're doing.
quite literally, people are
yeah,
watching.
like you're this is like now you're presenting yourself every day to this city, and this is your brand.
Yeah.
Like if you know, you would like for me, and it was really important to treat people respectfully all the time, to present like myself as like somebody that like all these values that I like to live my life by. Those were really important that we had that in the studio space and in the gallery space. Like honesty, integrity, respect, you know, like, so it keeps you on your toes for sure. It's not just like, you can't really just be by yourself, you know. I was always in the open. But it helps a lot because it's motivating.
And you talked about, you joked around like not really planning, like when you get ready to move. And I think, and I don't know how much you are like this, but I'm very much so like this. I think there's a secret. There's kind of a special power to not having everything figured out. Like, I don't know how much you have figured out with your move to LA, but putting yourself in this situation where there's opportunity and kind of being open to serendipity and things. If you're working hard and have a positive attitude and doing good, things just kind of have this way of coming to you.
It's almost not
you know?
overthinking. Is
Right,
kind
yeah.
of what
If
it
you
Like
can-
put
I have
yourself-
more figured out than, like I have the important stuff kind of, you know, I have my first couple jobs when I
Right.
get there. And to me, that's the only thing that really is super important. It's like,
the rest is moldable.
yeah, because like all it took for me here was just doing a couple pieces, and then somebody would see that piece and be like, who did that? And then all you need is a job every couple weeks to just sustain it, you know?
Right.
And even if you don't have one, like I just think it's inevitable that if you're doing work, if you're out there, if you're meeting people, like it's going to click, you know?
I agree.
And so the stuff I like struggle with is like, like making sure all my clothes are packed on time.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
The
making sure I
minuscule
have like
stuff.
a U-Haul rented,
Right.
like in time. Like that's the stuff I'm like,
It's the
we'll
opposite of
figure it
normal
out.
people. Normal
Yeah.
people have their clothes packed and their U-Haul rented, but
Yeah.
they're worried about, well, what if I don't get the job? You're the
Yeah.
other way around.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
kinda
that's-
the other way around.
yeah, which is good. That's why probably you are how you are.
Like if it's like comfortability for me, I like never plan it ahead of time, you know? If it has to do with like work or like, is this going to be possible?
Yeah.
Then I try to like figure that out. You
Really?
know? That's like, that seems to me to being like the calculated part of the risk, is at least trying to, like I went out a couple times in the last 6 months for extended periods of time and just spent time out there and connected with people that I hadn't in a while. And that's how I got those jobs, you know? So
I think I already know the answer to this, but I think it's still something that people might be asking themselves if they're trying to get started in any creative line of work. Like, how were you finding these jobs, whether it was the self-portrait stuff or once you moved into your space? And I think I already know the answer, but you might be able to lend some insight. You know, like, you know you need jobs, you know you need work, you're doing this full-time. Like, how are you getting those?
I think it's always different, but I think like the one thing that I've always done, and I think this is like the core of what it is always working. Like always, and yeah, I'm not saying like always working, like don't sleep, like, you know, you have
Hustle.
to grind, like, yeah, not that.
Yeah.
I'm saying like not waiting for a job to come. Like if nothing comes, then I would do something else and put that out, and then that would lead to a job. You know what I mean? Like there was a period when I did that Jordan piece that I had like no commissions lined up, And then I was like, oh, we'll do this piece right now. And then that sold. And then like 5 commissions came from that piece.
Oh, wow.
You know,
When
so
you say
like
commission, like a commission piece is when somebody says, like, I want this. Will you make it for me or pay it for you? Is
like
that-
I love
it's-
that. Can we do something like that?
Right. It's
for my
not
house
you
or
have
my
stuff
office
hanging up
or-
and they want to buy it. It's like they
Yeah.
want a custom piece, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So the Jordan was more, I do something, hang it. I didn't even get a chance to hang it really, but like you do it in hopes that someone will buy it.
That's
The
cool.
commission is more like someone approaches you to do something, pays up front or half up front. You know, like it's
that
an
the majority
understanding
of
like
it?
I'm going to do this and get this amount for it. You know, you already know before you start it.
How
sort of thing.
what? Because we were at your exposed thing. How many shows did you have like that?
2.
Okay, so
I
the
only
majority
had
of
two
it, majority
of
of your
mine.
income was commission work
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So that was more or less.
That-
well, this one was to clear out.
That's
right?
to get ideas out and bring people together and do something that's more personal and has more meaning to me. That's just something that I think it breaks it up, right? So it's not like I don't get sick of something and I don't feel like I'm only doing
Right.
one thing. That was what Exposed was for me this time. And then the other show, Controlled Chaos, that I had there, that one was I wanted to be the first person that showed in that space that I had. And we
okay,
showed
sure.
a lot of other artists in that space, but I was like, I feel like I want to do like a show and just have
Yeah.
like the first show.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of right when I got that space, I started working on it. And then that show was really cool. We had like every piece paired up with an audio track. So like I made each piece, like the meaning behind the piece was told to you through the song.
That's
Okay.
cool.
You know, so there was headphones on the wall and you could listen
Oh,
to it
really?
while you looked at the piece. Yeah, it was a fun project. So it was that one, and then Exposed were my only 2 solo shows there, and then I had a couple other like group shows, but they were not in that space that I was a part of. But other than that, we had other artists solo shows and group shows, and I think we had about 10 to 12 shows total there.
That's cool to be able to do that for other
Yeah.
artists too.
Yeah, that's kind of what developed from getting that specific space. I was like, well, I don't need all this space for a studio. I didn't at the time. I
Right.
could have definitely used it by the end of my time there. I was like, man, we should just turn this whole thing into a studio. But yeah, it became a really awesome way to meet people and help other artists that maybe didn't have the chance to show at galleries, just like I didn't have the chance to show at a lot of, the bigger galleries, and or they kept showing at the same gallery, and it gave them a whole new market, and kind of blended our crowds together, and we became friends through the process. So it was really cool. And then that's kind of why I brought AJ on too initially, was to help me run that front space
Sure.
while I worked in the back.
That's cool. And so your most like the stuff that was at Exposed. Like, how did you get the inspiration for like the
I was gonna
flower?
ask that. What was the inspiration behind the show?
Yeah, the inspiration behind the flowers came from the meaning behind the show. The inspiration behind the show was, I feel like I fall into it a lot too, but this like society, like our generation, we kind of have all been, it's really easy to get programmed into like caring a lot about what you're presenting to people in the exterior, and like we got the selfies and the filters and like all sorts of, it's kind of the way everything's shifting is like all this, Instagram like models or influencers, and everyone's worried about what they're presenting to people. And I get the same way with my art, and like my brand. And I think there's a healthy way of doing it, but it definitely can get a little out of touch, and make people really insecure of like, why don't I have that? Like there's fears that pop up with me sometimes. And I know other people have expressed it to me of, not feeling like they're not enough on the outside, And so the whole concept was about not focusing so much about the exterior, but how all the top layers were ripped away, and then flowers continued the figure or the face. So it's about loving who you are and who God made you to be on the inside. And so that was kind of the whole inspiration behind the piece. So I chose flowers because they represented something to me that felt like love and like was pure,
Yeah.
So that was kind of where the flowers came
Well, they were great pieces. So.
They
Thanks.
were. We I'll go grab that.
Over there.
We'll
there
bring
you
it
go.
over here. We'll show the camera. But like
gotta restart it
I saw
anyway.
your I followed you on Instagram, and I saw a lot of like the alternative canvas.
Yeah.
And I didn't really. I was expecting. Tyler was like, "Oh, what's the show about? Like, what's he do?" I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
check
yeah.
out." So
Yeah.
I was expecting that,
Yeah.
but like that was a pleasant surprise, and I really liked.
Yeah.
Visually, it's very appealing. I think it was a very well done show, and the meaning behind it is very cool.
Thank you.
Show the people.
Yeah, this piece that we got.
Look at that. We even got the old John Hill.
Yeah, TYP.
there you go.
Should I just hold it right here?
Yeah.
In front of my face.
I can just, that could be me.
Yeah, there you go. Just put it right over here.
Yeah.
Sorry about I keep blowing my nose. God, my nose just
shut-
keeps
shut
running.
up.
I know, my God.
No, what's this piece called?
Honesty.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that one. There was that one, and then there was I probably can't even explain it, but there was like I think it was a silhouette of a girl, like a brunette. That was like a really cool one too.
And then I was
sure
like,
there's
that's the one.
Yeah.
And then so then we knew.
Yeah, so they were all named after spiritual principles.
Huh.
So
Okay.
every piece was like honesty, integrity, faith, courage, love.
yeah, that one's got
Yeah.
like,
So that one, honesty, seemed to fit really well with that one.
I really
This is
like
the
that
one
piece.
flower ripped away where her mouth is. And her mouth is hidden back, so it's kind of like that top layer kind of represented like secrecy or like being dishonest, and then underneath is that like three-dimensional flower. which
So
kinda
you worked with
represented
a photographer, and he
yeah,
took
there's
those photos.
3 different photographers.
Okay.
So I pulled like 3 photos from 2 of them and 4 images from another. They're all from here. One of them lives in Chicago. Max Schreier lives in Chicago. Brianne White's a really dope photographer from this area, works a lot downtown. And then Justin Millhouse is a dude that I've known for a while and love his work. So these were people I already loved their work, and I didn't want to make it any extra effort. I'm like, there's pieces that I know I can
Right.
use, so I use existing work from them. So
Well, that's
they
cool.
didn't really have to like do anything extra than what they had already done.
So they already had that.
They
photo.
just had to send me the high res photos and like sign off that I could use them.
Really.
And then you on
And
the
then they
original,
got a portion
Sure.
too from every piece I sold.
on the original big pieces. Those were all hand drawn.
So it's like half and half. There were different price tiers for the different mediums. So like that honesty piece is a mixed media piece. So I printed the photo and then painted on top of the photo.
Okay.
And then ripped sections out and built the bottom layer, painted the bottom layer.
So you actually you physically rip the section of the photo off?
Yeah. So I started with 2 layers. I started with the photo.
Yeah.
And mounted that to wood or mat board or whatever we use. And so there's 2 layers, and I started with just the photographer's photo in that size, and then you rip out sections that you want or don't want, and then ended up painting on top of the photo and just kind of like creating a piece from that base photo. And then there were some that were fully painted too, like you remember the ones with like the colored backgrounds?
Yeah.
So there was like
Yes.
2 pink
Yeah,
colored
yeah.
backgrounds, 1 teal. Those were full paintings. Still using the photographer's reference images,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wanted to put together a bigger body of work, and I didn't want to rush everything. So the mixed media pieces were a way to get me the same concept, but I could do more at a time.
Right.
Whereas the paintings take me a lot longer.
I can imagine.
So I wanted to have a mixture, but I couldn't do all paintings. It would have taken me too long.
Now, was that couch always in the studio, or was that for the
No, yeah,
show?
we made that for the show too.
Did somebody buy that?
No, nobody bought it. I'm gonna
Dude,
take it to California.
I was gonna
now.
say, you need to, that's a badass couch.
Yeah, nobody bought it, but we didn't make it.
Was it
really-
for
we
sale?
priced it
Okay,
because we
that's
were
what
like,
I was
we should
wondering.
just
Okay.
have it for sale,
Yeah.
But like we did it more for the aesthetic of the show.
Well, it's cool.
Yeah,
And the mirror, the stuff you had going at the mirror was
yeah.
pretty-
One of the mirrors sold. The other one, I guess I'll take it. Yeah, because
the one by the couch, or the one that was like right to the right when you
the
walked
one
in?
right when you walked in sold, and then the one by the couch didn't. So I'll take it or use it for some other piece
Yeah.
sometime. But yeah, we wanted to build that wall, and we wanted like this photo op, like old like grandma's living room style, looking like floral inspired thing.
You
So
should have put plastic on the couch.
we thought about the plastic.
Did you?
Yeah.
On the Chesterfield.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't sit on the Davenport with
Yeah.
your street jeans.
Yeah, so that was kind of where the couch came from. We wanted like somewhere where somebody could sit and take a photo, And then we got the couch, and I was like, it kind of looks like old and dingy, like a little more than I wanted.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, maybe I'll just paint the rug, the couch, the
Yeah.
little like end tables next to it. So it kind of was just on the fly, but
It was cool. A cool
yeah,
touch.
it was cool. It was fun. I was really proud of that show. I thought it was a really fun process for me, and AJ too, and it was like a fun way to go out of that space, you know. It was cool.
It was cool to see both your brothers there, you know, a part of
Yeah.
it, and Chester was taking.
They're always the best. They
photos
help
and
with everything.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
I mean, same thing with when Chester has any sort of event.
Yeah.
Like me and Tyler are always there.
That's how
you
we
know?
met Tyler.
So
He
that's
was
just
working
kinda
the
how we've
bar.
always
Well,
been.
that's how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
we're-
that's how.
that's
Yeah,
how-
actually,
that's how we met
technically.
too. Really.
Yeah.
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 The Room is Spinning, Volume 3.
That was so
Eightfold.
cool.
That
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
no idea what to expect. It was a great event.
Yeah,
So,
they've been doing great with those.
That was a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
Detroit is Spinning is fun. Yeah, I think I followed you on Instagram. I was like, oh, is that... I don't think I knew you guys were brothers. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
happens
my-
a lot. Yeah,
That's my brother.
To where like people don't know we're brothers.
Really?
And- yeah, because we both like kind of we don't use our real name on
Right,
it.
yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know?
kind of
How
ironic.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people. I've had people know us both for like multiple years, just and never known we were brothers.
No kidding.
Yeah, just because they see him in totally different places than they see me.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not if they would have seen us together or like
Maybe.
in the same space, they probably would have known.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would always see him somewhere else and me another place and never put it together. Yeah.
So when you get out to LA, the pieces you have lined up, are they alternative canvas, like sports pieces? Is that what you're going to try and focus on out there?
Two of them are, and then one is a large scale piece, but it's not alternative canvas, but it is sports music kind of driven.
Let me guess. It's LeBron James and his new Lakers jersey.
No, I don't have the LeBron one lined up yet, but that'll be awesome. I hope I get one of those. I'm gonna do it on LeBron's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh well,
do it
yeah,
on-
that would make
the
sense.
saga of sneakers would be
Oh.
really dope.
So, do you like
Oh.
LeBron? Are you a LeBron?
Yeah, I
fan?
like LeBron.
Nah, I'm not.
See,
Yeah.
we're not big LeBron.
I wasn't really that big of a LeBron fan. Like I respected how good he
Oh,
was.
he's incredible.
yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's
But
one of the best athletes in the
AJ's a
world.
huge LeBron fan.
Really?
And he's really like got me into LeBron. Yeah, I like him now.
No, see,
Yeah.
he was the opposite. He liked him like when he was.
I loved him when he first
Oh,
came
I had
out.
a
Well,
Cavs
so-
And then
Yeah, the jersey.
I really
As soon
disliked
as-
him after Miami.
As soon as he
Like,
left,
when
like
he
I
went
kind
to
of felt like he
Miami.
left his home city, and I
Just
kind
the
of a
whole
sellout.
press conference
Yeah,
thing and
it
the
just didn't
decision
go
thing.
well.
I didn't like that.
There's no denying his
That was when I
ability.
kind of fell off of LeBron.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he came back, I still wasn't really like on the team
Yeah.
LeBron, you know? It really wasn't until
Well, then he made the
AJ
super
was there.
teams.
He listens to like The Ringer all day and
Oh,
all these
okay.
podcasts. He's obsessed with the NBA and loves LeBron. So,
Really?
yeah, I would vote for Golden State every finals.
Oh,
just
yeah,
to,
that's-
just to piss him off. But
Well, see, I
want
want
to- you guys
to see
ever bet?
LeBron.
Dude, I mean, you see those performances though, and you're
Dude,
just like, this
it's-
guy is unbelievable.
There's no
yeah,
doubt.
You know?
I respect
Like,
his
it's
talent.
hard to not, and he's never. He like think about for how long he's been in the public eye. Like he's been a massive figure
Since like 17.
since he was like
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
Not one. Like what's the
Yeah,
the
that
closest
is
you can
true.
get to a negative
Yeah.
press is that like DM that says, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
To that Instagram model.
Yeah.
You know, like
That's true.
It's pretty incredible.
See, I've never thought about that. That is a very good point.
That's kind of what put like I was like, this guy's actually amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
that is true, especially at that young age.
Think about that.
I've never thought about that. That's incredible.
Like, there's very few people I can think of that have had zero negative press like that
Yeah.
from that's that big of a figure.
Yeah.
You
I'm going
know?
to be devil's advocate here. He just does a really good job at covering it up.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
fine.
Well, I mean, always everyone has I mean,
That's
look,
true.
at-
I mean,
look
that's
at
true.
Kobe. Well, look at Kobe.
But there's not even
You know, he had-
allegations, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm
I've never
saying.
done
Like
that.
it's
like
I
you
agree.
think you would see like even if it never. Even if they denied it or whatever and nothing happened from it,
You'd
think
hear
there
about
would
it.
still be like
Oh,
somebody
you'd
being
hear
like,
about
"Oh,
it.
he did this."
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't either.
That's a
No.
very good point.
No, yeah, it's just the move, and then like kind of went to Miami, and then the super team. So then Golden State was like, fine, we can play at that game too, and they're breaking.
Yeah.
and
it was like organic though.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that
for
was
sure.
so sweet when they
Well,
first had that killer
Dwayne Wade and Chris
Yeah.
Bosh.
No,
No, he's
Golden
talking about
State.
Golden State.
I'm talking about
Oh.
Golden State.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
that was a
LeBron-
draft.
I'm talking about the most recent, how like
Oh,
they brought
yeah.
in Kevin
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
and everything,
yeah.
and they're like, all right, like game on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it created a nice new dynamic, but I feel
Uh-huh.
like it's affected the league in a strange way. I don't know. Basketball is just not the same.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean that could be part of the move.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's all like
choreographed
based
a
off his
little bit.
kids
Yeah.
and like he wants to start. He's more business minded.
Yeah, I
right
Well, and
now.
who wouldn't want to be in LA?
Yeah.
First of
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
think about that. If you're on a pro sports team,
It's a
like,
new challenge too. You know.
yeah.
So I just saw, where was I? Oh, I was at the gym and I saw LeBron is producing a new Showtime series or
Yep,
something
I
like
saw
that.
it.
Yeah.
So,
So
I think a lot
It's
of
on,
it is business.
right?
Yeah.
The one show.
Well, did you see too? The Looney
shot.
Space Jam 2
you
is
seen the shot?
officially.
No, is
Yeah.
that the barbershop one?
Yeah, where they
Yeah.
have the talks in the.
My roommate was watching, so I didn't really sit down and watch
I watched
it.
the first one. It was pretty good.
No, yeah. So Space Jam 2,
I
they
did
greenlighted
see-
it.
Confirmed.
Yep.
I was
That's gonna be
surprised, like Draymond Green's in one of those.
Yeah, he was in the first one.
I didn't think they liked each other, like, at all.
Maybe
but-
that's all.
It's kind of
Yeah.
changed, like the game, like in every sport.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not
Off
as
the
like
court,
bitter
they're
rivals
just
anymore.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, but in passions are so high. Like when like playing
On the
sports
court,
on the
yeah.
court, like it's like you're just blood's pumping, like you hate, and then after
I
there's a
didn't even
respect.
think they're going to be in the same state now. The Warriors and
Yeah.
LeBron.
Yeah,
The
same
Lakers.
same
division, too.
conference or division. So that's going to open up some.
That'd be
Come
cool
on,
being able to
Pistons.
go.
Come
Yeah,
on, Pistons.
Way more of those West Coast, like I can watch way more Western Conference teams now.
Well, how many
playing
teams
in
do they have?
LA.
They have the Clippers, the Warriors, and
Well, I'm talking about
Lakers.
just like they have Houston. They like every
Yeah.
really good team is in
Yeah.
the West. I mean, there's some
I'm just
like
talking about
Boston and
California
Philly are
alone.
dope in the East, but
Yeah, you will get a lot more good
and Detroit.
basketball out there.
yeah, Detroit, man.
I-
We grew up with we all did the Pistons, like Mr. Big Shot,
Big
and
Ben.
Yeah.
Big Ben, man.
They might be doing good with that new coach, the Toronto Raptors coach that they
Yeah.
got.
yeah,
Our little brother
came in
loves watching them.
He came in the studio
Yeah.
one day.
Oh,
Did he?
really?
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
sick.
him and his family is super nice.
Really?
Extremely nice
That's
guy.
so
yeah.
cool.
And you
Yeah,
said the last
cool.
piece you're working on right now is a piece for the Pistons.
It is.
So that'd
yeah.
be cool.
Yeah, and then we also have this installation that I did like a year ago. I got the piece from the Muhammad Ali piece that you were talking about. And it's a split Red Wings Pistons piece, and it's like 14 feet by like 25 feet.
Oh wow,
That's awesome.
And we're just waiting to install it. It's been a year delay due to the weight of the piece.
So will it
So
be
hopefully that
LCA?
happens. Yeah, it's going to
Really?
the LCA. So that'll be a more permanent fixture there, as
Really?
opposed to like the piece we're doing right now is like a movable, like on wheels
Yeah,
backdrop for the Pistons. But yeah, so hopefully that goes in this in the
That'd be
next
dope.
like month. We've been starting to pick back up conversation with it. So I don't know though. I mean,
That's
I have
cool.
no idea. I thought it was going to go in a while ago. So I hope it goes in. But yeah, that'll be
That'd be
awesome
badass,
to see
dude.
that go in, man. I've been so excited about that piece.
So when you get out to LA, are you gonna try and focus on like sports mixed alternative canvas, or just see where jobs come from? Are
Yeah,
you open to
I
whatever?
think if I can start to get some of the jobs that I really want to get in that, then yeah, for sure. And then I'll probably just push it like I have in the last year. Just keep doing a lot of those. If it's kind of a little bit like spotty, some people like this style stuff. Some people I like to try to stay more well-rounded and continue to try new things. So that's probably kind of how I'll go. Is just doing some all the time, but sort of switching it up too. But I don't know. I try to just stay open to
See where the
kind
road
of
takes you.
I know the things that I don't want to do, but there's a lot of things that I'm open to doing.
That probably makes it easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a list of stuff that you stay away from, and the rest, hey,
Yeah,
give it a
yeah.
shot. That's cool.
Yeah.
So the Make a Wish pieces, that
Yeah,
was really
I wanna
cool.
tell
You did
you
that
about
for.
Yeah,
did
those
you
are
display them at Art Prize?
Yeah, they're showing right now at Art Prize.
Check those out.
Yeah, it's
That
in the.
surfboard's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's in the DeVos place in Grand Rapids. I think through the 17th.
Okay.
And then, but really the point of the project was to be able to gift these to the families and the kids. So after that, we'll be gifting them to them, and I'm really excited about that.
You want to talk about that a little bit for people who might not
Yeah,
understand what's
so
going on?
it was a project that people from Make-A-Wish Michigan reached out and kind of pitched to me and to see if I'd be willing to do it. It was a free project, so I had to make sure that I had enough time, and it wasn't gonna be something that was like a financial issue for
Right.
me, So we found some time to be able to. I moved some projects, and we found like a window of like 3 weeks or a month where we could work on them. So we started talking about it and figuring it out like 3 or 4 months before Art Prize, and then we were able to get like the last 3 weeks before Art Prize to do them. So it kind of was like the day after Expose ended, I started working on those and finished them the morning of install.
Oh, wow.
So it was like right down to the wire. But that project was, we did 3 alternative canvas pieces, 3 different kids, unique stories, different illnesses. They're all living and in good health now.
That's good.
And we wanted to have something that represented the objects that we use in the piece represented the wish that they were granted by Make-A-Wish, and then paint a portrait of the child around the time or on their wish experience, either around the time they were granted that wish or while they were on the wish. And there was one kid, Trayvon. His wish was to meet the Detroit Lions, so we did a piece of him on all footballs. And then there was a girl, Emily, and her wish was to go to Hawaii and learn to surf. So that was the surfboard one.
Yeah.
So we did the surfboard and then routed out, like, cut out the Hawaiian Islands and put him through the middle kind of subtly.
Oh, nice.
So cool.
And then painted her over top of the islands and the surfboard. And then the other kid, his name is Lucas, and his wish was to go to Legoland in California. So we built the surface out of like 5,000 Legos and painted Lucas on top. And then that one's pretty cool because it's interactive for him. He gets to keep adding Legos to the piece.
nice.
Like he builds these little characters, and he gets to kind of
That's
like,
so cool.
he can just snap the character on the piece if he wants, you know?
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so it's cool. I'm excited for them to be able to get them. But it was really awesome that we got to show it at Art Prize first and bring some like awareness to the project and really kind of give the kids and the families like something that it's kind of like their moment to shine and
Yeah.
kind of they got through this. You know, it was like all of them are like Trayvon has sickle cell anemia, so he'll be struggling with it his whole life, but everyone's in good health now. So I just thought it was a really cool, like, I think my impression of Make-A-Wish was like that everybody was terminology
Right,
that got
yeah.
a wish, and that's not the case. And you know,
That's
you
what I
always hear
kind of
about people
assumed,
going to
too.
like Disneyland or
Yeah.
something, and there's way more options. Like they really grant a lot of different types of wishes. So we tried to do stuff that wasn't Disneyland. And we definitely wanted to try to do things where the kids were able to battle back and be in better health now than they were, you know, prior. So
Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, those are
That-
they were really cool.
very
pieces.
well done.
thanks. I
And you're like,
appreciate
dude, I haven't played with Legos. I think I saw you like on
yeah,
Instagram,
it was
like,
cool. It's
forever.
taking me back. I was like, this is awesome.
I think I have one more question. Oh, and we have a question that was submitted too. You had a lot of questions that were submitted. But we'll just ask
Oh
the-
yeah.
Thousands
of
We
questions
paid
I
somebody
got
just to
submitted.
sift through them.
But I want to before we
Shout
get
out
to
to all you guys that
Yeah.
asked me questions.
before we get to your submitted question, I was gonna ask you because we just had the last guy on was a muralist,
Yes.
and he the spray paint big like 20 by
Sweet.
30 murals, right? And I was like, that must be so hard. But he's like, he projects it. For yours, do you draw out?
It's like,
How do you like create your pieces? Because you do really big pieces too.
yeah, the bigger ones, I'll draw a small version
Do you?
and do that. Yeah. So it's like, I think I've only had 2 things I've had to project, but I know the bigger that they get, like, I just don't, I don't even know. Some people freehand that stuff that
Really?
big. I
I
don't,
feel like you'd lose.
maybe
track
I
if
could
you
do
so
it. I
hard.
think, I just don't think I could. Like,
So
I
the
just
big
don't think
pieces
I
you
could.
do like project it so you
Yeah.
don't lose track.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
where
So
you're
you'll
at.
take like whatever you're gonna do, you just draw it to scale smaller, and you just do a line drawing of that, just so you know, like, kind of proportionally where everything's going.
Yeah.
I know some people like grid out the wall. Some people can literally just freehand it.
That's insane.
Even
That's
people that
nuts,
do like
dude.
realistic portraiture, like massive, like they can freehand it.
That's
Really?
so crazy.
Yeah, that's just not in my. I just can't do it that
Not
big.
your
Like,
repertoire.
yeah, I gotta be able to see the whole thing. You know, like
Uh-huh.
I can't. I don't know how they do it like that, but yeah, when I can see the whole piece and it's all in front of me, I can do it. But you know, that just comes from I've just done it so many times and learned how to proportion stuff like when I'm looking at it. But starts to get bigger, I just don't know how I'm
Sort of
able
like
to. Yeah, I'm not
conceptualize.
able to see everything.
Right.
So yeah, that's the way I would do it too. For
I was
sure.
curious about that.
Yeah,
'cause-
no, I would for sure do that. I don't know. Other people have other systems. Maybe the more I would do it, I would start to figure out another method. But
Right.
that seems to be the
But you're
one that
probably
would
not
work.
messing around, like, just practicing on things of that scale to where
Yeah,
you
like,
have
what
room
do
for
I use to
error.
practice
Right,
that,
yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Like, so I'm
It's
like,
not like
this
I
is the
just-
way that I know I can do it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Is like, just do it the way I know how, draw it, whatever size I want to draw it,
Yeah.
and then throw it up there. And, you know, so,
Right.
yeah.
So Anthony submitted a question. What has been your biggest challenge as an artist?
Thank you, Anthony. My biggest challenge as an artist, I think it's kind of always changing, you know, but I think probably the biggest challenge I've had is confidence, to be honest. I think confidence and like consistent confidence and believing in the process, I guess, and not that everything has to happen all at once, or it kind of piggybacks off that whole thing we were talking about with Exposed, like not having to like look at other people's achievements as that has to be mine, or I think just staying active with like doing the best I can do right now, and being like grateful that I have the opportunities that I have, and not always wishing I had something else. Because then that really affects my confidence, and it affects like how I present myself, and if I go out of my way to do stuff, like market myself. You know, if I'm not confident, then I'm not as active like marketing myself or doing the things that I really should be doing to help the business grow. So, yeah, I think that's probably my biggest like up and down challenge always, is to make sure that I stay. It's just stay humble. I don't think I really have, I guess, humble in my head, right? I'll never really do something that I think is like comes off as cocky, but I think that's always my, I think I'm so anti wanting to be cocky that sometimes I lack confidence. And so, that's probably my biggest challenge. I mean, learning the business side of stuff has been difficult for me too. Numbers make my like brain want to explode.
That makes three of us. I speak for that guy.
So yeah, I think just juggling everything in the business side of stuff on top of creating stuff is a challenge. But I think probably confidence.
And then, I mean, you kind of touched on it, just being grateful and being happy with where you're at.
Yeah,
is kind of your
I mean, that's
fight to that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if I'm constantly in the space of gratitude, then I usually don't have like an issue with being confident or comfortable with where I'm at. You know, like that's usually when like these fears of me not being good enough, or me not having these certain things, or not accomplishing this stuff by a certain age, or whatever, all that stuff starts to creep in, and like my self-image is smashed, my confidence is smashed, you know. So, and then I'm way less productive. I'm not doing the things I should be doing, and I'm not happy. I'm not enjoying it, you know? So that's the goal, right? Is to be able to enjoy it and bring happiness to other people with doing whatever you're doing. So, I've thought about it a lot. I think it all stems from like, confidence, and like kind of coming from a place that's less selfish, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Well, great.
Well, interesting. This was a cool episode.
Yeah,
but we had fun.
I hope it was.
My question was more generic because you covered everything that I really wanted to talk about.
Give me the generic.
Generic question.
Yeah.
All right, this is your grandmother asking. What advice do you have for aspiring artists? Because this is, I mean, most of our people on our show lately have been artists, and I think I like hearing other people's perspective. And I think that a lot of my friends and contemporaries and people I know of, like, I want to pursue this, and it's always something creative, and they stop themselves before they even get out the door.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can maybe lend some insight.
Yeah, I think I mean, my advice would just be stay true to kind of what you feel like you're supposed to be doing, or what makes you stand out, and have confidence in that. You know, I think that is a huge thing with that artists, myself included. I think artists struggle with a little bit of confidence, and just being like, some artists don't, for sure. But I think there's a balance of, I think, having confidence in your work, and just staying on course, and not getting discouraged when things don't go to your way, or you don't hit a goal that you thought you really needed, or you're not at a certain level. Just continually doing it and going back and being confident that this work is going to pay off.
Yep.
And also, I think a big thing that people creatively struggle with, myself included, is the business side of stuff. You have the term starving artist for a reason, right? I think there's a lot of extremely, extremely talented people that are not doing well financially, and there's a lot of people that maybe you look at and you're like, that's really easy what he's doing.
Right.
But, you know, they had that marketing mindset and that business mindset, and they took off, you know? And so I think finding that balance behind something where you feel like you're creatively giving something, and like doing something that is of value to society, but also making a living at it, you know, and taking the business side seriously. So that's been the stuff that has helped me the most.
Would you suggest finding somebody else, like how you work with AJ,
I think if it makes sense. I mean, I think another piece of advice I think is not letting money scare you. Like not letting like the calculated risk thing, you know, like not being like I'm not saying like go out and just spend money on whatever you want or just invest in something that makes no sense and you have no real reasoning behind it. But I think for a while I hesitated on getting somebody because it's like, I'm already paying for the space. I you know what I mean? Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
And like I need to save money. And
Yeah.
I didn't really need to save money. You know, I was just scared that it wasn't going to work,
Yeah.
or like I was going to pay him and not really need him, and it's allowed me to grow so much.
Really.
And I think those financial calculated risks are important too. You know,
I agree with that.
I mean, I think the risks if you're self-employed in any aspect, you know, whether it's creative or product-based or anything, it's like it just constantly pushes you and your brand and like your own, like, you know, your soul like forward. Like taking these risks, like one of two things is going to happen. It's going to pay off or it's not. And if it pays off, you're that much further up the board. And if not, you've learned something. And like that's the only way you can progress in business and in life is you either have to learn something or advance because of
that's
a risk
spot on. And you're going to do neither if you don't try.
Exactly.
Or try something different, you know.
And unfortunately, I think that's in your nature. It's not. It's very hard to teach that, which is kind of depressing in a sense to think about, because a lot of the people who come to me with these ideas, I'm like, you have this, you have what it takes. But like, if you don't have that willingness to that risk tolerance, I think that it's very hard to get that first step out the door. But the thing is that I've found is like once you get, you know, you get momentum, it doesn't get any easier, but
you start to understand that you can do it,
and you get more comfortable. Like risk taking is like anything else. Like if you bench press every day, your chest is going to get stronger. If you take more risks and you get comfortable with risk taking, I think your risk tolerance really goes up, and that's a healthy thing. I know this is kind of different, but like Tim Ferriss talks about,
There we go.
I promised I would.
There you go.
Tim Ferriss, he talks about like discomfort, like exercises.
I gotta look him up.
Yeah, you have to, bro.
He's got a really good podcast and some good books.
It's the only author I think we've bought like every book he's released, like because I really believe in that. He was the real inspiration for the podcast, his podcast, even more than like Joe Rogan. But anyway, he talks about like comfort exercises. Like he'll go to Starbucks and ask for a discount every time he buys a coffee. He doesn't want the discount, and he like never gets it, and it's super uncomfortable. Like, hey, can I have a 10% discount? You know how uncomfortable that is?
Yeah.
Or like just like anything in life, like where he'll lay down in the middle of like a McDonald's and just lay on his back for 15 seconds, and he's not allowed to say, like to the barista, oh, this is just for a comfort. You can't say that. That's a cop-out. Or people say, what are you doing when he gets up after 15 seconds? You can't be like, oh, it's a comfort. Because that's a cop-out.
Yeah.
You have to just act like nothing happened. And he goes, that makes me better at having uncomfortable conversations or negotiating business deals or doing things I don't want to do. So it's strange.
I love that.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
So I think the same thing. He doesn't directly translate it to risk, but I think it's the same thing. Like making these little decisions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all the little ones are just... going to make you that much more comfortable when a bigger one comes up, right?
Like you moving out and taking that space prepared you probably for moving literally 3,000 miles away.
No, for sure.
Like look at that.
I definitely wouldn't have done it if I was still working out of my house. There's
Isn't that
no
cool?
way. Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's very cool.
I think, well, I mean, this is a platform for you. If there's anything you want to convey, you can say it now.
I would normally plug the space, but that's gone.
Well, we got follow on Instagram, TYP Collection.
I think that would
collections.
TYP Collection.
Okay.
That would be probably the main thing. Is if you are interested in my work and you want to follow my work, that's where I'm most active on is Instagram. So. If
people like maybe have questions or are interested in working with you or anything, DM is that the best way to reach you?
Yeah, DM's cool, or you can email typcollection@gmail.com. And the website has all that stuff too. Everything's just TYP Collection. So
good for brand right there. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to say on your drive out to California after you get done listening to all our podcasts,
start listening.
I got all. Yeah, I got like
43 episodes.
42.
42. Yeah. Oh man, the early stuff was a little rough. You know,
that's what I'm gonna start with.
Yeah. Dude, episode 1 was.
I want to see the progression.
It's so funny. Like you get better as you do it, and even doing this has made us better conversationalists because you sit down and you talk with strangers for like 2 hours.
Yeah,
It's
you're
super
like,
cool.
all right, well, we got to do it.
Like,
Yeah.
we've kind of hung out and talked, but not like this. And
Yeah.
but this was, I think that it's so cool. We've had a lot of artists on, but you've let so much perspective and value that nobody else, unless they lived your journey, they couldn't have done.
Yeah, it's
So-
cool. You get everyone's unique perspective on their creative journey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Well, we're happy to
Yeah.
have yours, so thanks for coming on. Be
Yeah,
sure
for
to give
sure.
him a follow, check him out,
Thank
etc.
and good luck, my man.
Dude, good luck, brother.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to come visit you because I really want to come to California.
More than
and
welcome.
Yeah, we'll come bug you.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll come film podcast part 2.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time, guys.
Peace.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. All episodes of What's Your Skroove are available on iTunes. And if you like the show, be sure to rate, subscribe, and leave a comment. As always, there are free stickers on our website, www.skroovco.com. We'll see you guys next time.